Fog fans, David Foles. I'm here with Coach Dan Fitzgerald. We're going to talk. This is going to be, building of the program. Imagine that the KU baseball program was born today, and this is where we're going to take it from there. Coach Fitzgerald's an outstanding leader, and we're going to start from here. Coach, you've been a head coach before. You were a head coach at Des Moines area community college, but how much of this is just like a, yes, finally, I've got my own Power 5 and it's mine? How much is it just like do you revel in it a little bit?
I haven't yet. I've had those moments of I'm really grateful, really, really thankful. This is an incredible blessing to my family, to myself. And so that part, just feel extremely blessed and grateful. Haven't spent a whole lot of time reveling in anything yet, mostly because every day is just jam-packed. I mean, this is my calendar is not, there are very few open windows, and that's a great thing to have. So I'm hoping that, you hate to live your life hoping that Thanksgiving comes, but there's a piece of you that looks forward to Thanksgiving and Christmas to be able to rewind for a minute and reflect. But yeah, super thankful. And there is I don't know what it's not relief, because the second second I got the job, it's a tall task, but there's a little bit of just a deep breath of like, wow, it's here. Yeah, right. It's here. Yeah.
Dan, I did the stats. I did my homework here, and this is not a shot against the past, but you're a big guy where it's, what do we do about today? We're not promised about tomorrow, but we're going to have to look back a little bit.
Yeah.
132 years of baseball at KU, 4 conference titles, last 26 seasons, a 354 Big 12 winning percentage. How much of this is just I don't want to say rebuild. How much of this is just starting anew?
Yeah. Well, I think a big chunk of it is. And, the cool part is this is not an unprecedented thing in college baseball. Like, we have had countless examples, and it happens all the time where you think about, here in the Midwest, there was a time when Dave Van Horn took over at Nebraska, and Nebraska was kind of a sleeping giant, and boom, they're good. When he got to Arkansas was down. Now they're good. Heck, we can go back to your neck of the woods. LSU was not LSU until Skip got there, and really built and invested and poured in. And so we could go example after example. I mean, how about Vanderbilt? Before Tim got to Vandy, that was not a thing. So to me, if you look at, okay, can you recruit to a place? Can you develop at the place, and is it sustainable? And not just can you recruit as in, you can hit catch lightning in a bottle and put together a good class, or get lucky on a guy here and there, but sustainability of, are there players in the circle? Like, can you go out 10 miles and draw a circle around campus? Are there players there? 20 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles? And the answer to all those is yes. So there's a lot of starting fresh. The good news is there are a lot of great people in place, and Coach Price is a great person, and he did a great job of a lot of things over the past 20 years. But one thing that he nailed was the quality of people that he surrounded himself with, the quality of people that he recruited, and the fact that character mattered to him and people mattered to him. And so there are a lot of things I'm not worried about today. I'm worried about our pitching. I'm worried about, being able to compete for 3 games a weekend in the Big 12. I'm worried about a lot of those things, but I'm not worried about off the field stuff. I'm not worried about a culture of lack of compliance or things like that, because he is a great human being and really set the tone here on the foundational piece of people. So yeah, a lot of great things in place. And when I look at and that certainly I don't know the stats that you just looked at, but when I look at it, I see incredible upside in a foundation that can support a massive build into something special.
You were talking about nobody knew about Vandy before Corbin, Skip with LSU. You were part of this as well. Let's just be honest. Before, 20 years ago, no one even knew Dallas Baptist was a school. And then it was a school in a super regional or competing for a super regional, almost a shot to go to Omaha. You helped build that. You were the recruiting guy. You brought in all those players. What experiences can you grab from there of building the program, but now you're the head man? What lessons can you learn from there that you can apply here?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I feel like, I've been about as blessed as a human being can be in the fact that I worked for Dan Hefner for 9 years at DBU and got to experience that, and then got to work for Jay Johnson at LSU. So I literally got my last 2 stops. I worked under 2 Hall of Fame coaches that are both very different and very similar. So the DBU specifically, I'll talk about that first. I think that the fact that we were super development based and we were not getting recruiting at LSU and DBU were very different. I prided myself at DBU on the fact that, it was very rare that we had a highly ranked recruiting class. But if you looked at Baseball America's 5-year later ranking, where they do that, hey, let's go back and look at all the recruiting classes and 5 years later, who had a good one. We were always ranked in those. So that was something I was really proud of, that we were getting guys that were maybe under the radar and then really, really developing them. And then also recruiting at a really high level, but kind of having the gumption and I'd say guts, but it's probably more insanity, or stupidity or whatever you'd call of just being able to go out on the limb and go after some guys that when no one else is recruiting the guy. There's a funny thing as a recruiter that when you're recruiting someone and everyone else is recruiting them, there's a little bit of like, okay, good, I'm right on this guy. Everyone thinks he's
I know
good.
what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of when no one else knows about him or people are turning him down, that you've got to have some guts. And so Dan Hefner is he's unbelievable. He is absolutely unbelievable. And one of the things that he talked about all the time is being able to measure what we're doing, to be able to have a reason for what we're doing, and not just kind of a gut level reaction on stuff, but really answer the why. So I think I spent 9 years really not just recruiting for recruiting, but really trying to look at recruiting as okay, how do you develop this craft? How do you know what you're doing? I don't trust myself enough to just say, hey, a guy can really run. I want to see it on a stopwatch. I don't trust myself to say, hey, this guy has power. I want to see it in the stats. So, just spent a lot of time at DBU saying, okay, if we're going to compete at a high level, if we're going to be in a regional every year, if we're going to be trying to knock down the door to Omaha, and we're going to do it on a tiny campus with one Division I sport, and not a football game or frat party within, whatever 30 miles of the campus, how do you do this? And so I do think that doing it there, and again, anyone who's been to DBU would say, wow, this place is amazing, and the campus, it's beautiful. It's an incredibly hard place to recruit to, in that all the things I just mentioned aren't there. It's not this flashy, awesome, Saturday football experience. It's very much, you have to recruit. You have to literally sit a family down and draw the picture. So very similar to what we're doing here. Now, at some point, will we have recruits in for a basketball game, and will there be 16,000 people and number 1 ranked team in the country, and Allen Fieldhouse rocking? Yes, and we'll take full advantage of that in recruiting. But I think at my core, I am a, get in the car, drive through the backwoods and find a player. And I hired 3 recruiting coordinators that are really good at that as well. So a lot of similarities in terms of the process of DBU and what we're trying to do here.
Last question, and again, talking with new Kansas baseball coach Dan Fitzgerald. Coach, we talked about, and I kind of just came up with this question as I was listening to you. Talked about building the programs and building, and it's about relationships and all that kind of stuff, and how long is it going to take and development. But what you didn't have at DBU, what you didn't have at North Iowa or Des Moines Community College, the transfer portal and NIL changes everything. Does it speed it up? Is it change how you recruit now? Because we live in a different world of recruiting now. You can go from zero to nothing now, thanks to the transfer portal and NILs and all that kind of stuff. How does it change things? And does it speed up your preconceived notion of how many years until I'm, the kind of program we like?
I think it's another avenue. So I've likened it to, every fall when I was at DMAC, I went to Puerto Rico in November and would, it's just another avenue to recruit. It was just another place to find players. I remember when I was a junior college coach, looking into, there has to be a window of military kids that were good baseball players, went off to the military, are done, and now they're trying to play baseball. I remember at one point thinking like, well, BYU has some kids that just, came back from a mission. Maybe I'll find. So, and a constant search for a new window and a new avenue. I think, and I think that's what the portal has done. Now, the portal has done it in big fashion and in mass, and NIL and the portal exploding kind of happened at the same time has created an incredibly new dynamic. But like anything, David, there's a ripple effect to that of, when one of our guys leaves and goes someplace, it opens up a hole for us to recruit. So there are open windows everywhere, but the portal and NIL, I think it's changed college athletics. I don't think it's changed the core of what recruiting is, and that's finding the best fit for your program. But yes, there's certainly an element of, I think it helps because it's just another pool of players. And I don't know if I'm answering that right, but I think it opens up a new pool in a place where you can find guys that maybe have some experience, have some immediate impact, and can jump in right away.